started really with a couple grand, honestly. I started utilizing credit cards, kind of get into that rabbit hole really, but
What's the best way to show them that you have money? Just tell them, or what are you doing?
I thought my job was going to be a full-time cell phone guy. Then they get a little complicated fixing that iPhone XR and the screen's different, and I'm like, all right, I got to do something else.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Doughboys podcast. I'm your host, Logan, joined by my lovely studly co-host, Flipping It with Cisco, and Joshua Goldenlocks McGill. Today, we're also joined by special guest, Alex, over from FBA Boys. How's everyone doing?
Good, man. Good.
Let's go.
Fabulous.
Alex, super excited to have you on the podcast. If you want to start us off, just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and give the viewers your background.
Yeah, awesome. So I've been selling on Amazon since 2017. I started really with a couple grand, honestly. And then I started utilizing credit cards and kind of get into that rabbit hole, really. But we didn't start with a lot, and we slowly kind of put all our money, reinvested it back into the business to kind of grow to where it is today. You know, our goal for this year is more like 4 or 5 million. We had a couple hiccups, but we're going to try to make it up. But, you know, I love the process. It's a fun game to be in. We're constantly dealing with new products, and it's enjoyable. I really enjoy it.
Cool. So how did you originally find out about Amazon, and what made you be like, okay, this is something I want to go try out?
I applied for a job in 2016 on Indeed, and they said, looking for someone who has experience with eBay or Amazon. And I said, oh, you know, I've sold on eBay as a kid, you know, when I was 13. And I said, all right, let me apply. I went there, and it turns out to be like a distribution company for Amazon sellers and other really brick and mortar type of places. And I became a sales rep there for about a year and a half. Once I realized that I could be doing this Amazon thing instead of selling people products for Amazon, and I'm sitting there for $15 an hour, I kind of pieced it together like, all right, I need to get out of here and really explore this Amazon game. You know, it got to a point where I was sitting at my sales desk and I was on like Facebook Marketplace looking for stuff to flip on eBay.
Right.
And I was just like, all right, I'm making more money. I'm leaving during lunch to go grab this item so I can flip it on eBay. Why am I still sitting here? Yeah. So that kind of connected pieces a little bit for me.
Yeah, I love that story. Leave for lunch, make more. I used to have an office job, and literally same thing. There was a Walmart like 5 minutes away from my office job, and I could leave on my lunch break, go pick up this hot replin, and make more in like 20 minutes. FBA those products, they would even sell out before I'd even get back to the office.
My big start was I was big into like fixing phones. So I was like known as the phone guy. So I was fixing a lot of the iPhone 6s and 7s and the 8s. Because those screens were, I would pick them up cracked on Marketplace.
Oh,
and then I would fix them and flip them back to Marketplace.
Yeah.
So
it was
that's brilliant.
I would get repeat customers saying, "Hey, you know, my grandma needs a phone." I'm like,
yeah,
I got the 7 in stock. I got the, you know, the little larger one. What type of gigabytes you need? Like, I would drive all day around New Jersey picking up cracked phones, lowballing these people, and they just wanted to get rid of their old phone.
Yeah.
And the screen was like $15. You know, I bought them in bulk.
That's so funny.
That's what I started to do. And I'm like, all right, I'm making a lot more money flipping these phones than actually sitting at the sales desk. So I said, fuck it. You know, let's become a full-time reseller. I thought my job was going to be a full-time cell phone guy. You know, then they get a little complicated fixing that iPhone XR and the screen's different. And I'm like, all right, I got to do something else. But that was kind of my little bug where I made the connection. I'm like, all right, there's money to be made here.
So you started off with Amazon because you applied at a job on Indeed. So you started directly with wholesale and distributors from the jump.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
So I had no idea what OA or RA was until I got to Instagram. I'm like, wait, people are going to the store? You know, I thought it was so mind-boggling because I was so used to, all right, we buy it from a distributor, we receive it, and we send it into Amazon. So like, you know, it was pretty mind-blowing when you see like guys like Soros Empire. He's on Instagram. He's a big OA guy. And I was kind of like, wow, you know, people are able to do this. sometimes I dabble a little bit in OA, when stuff like the Stanleys come around, and, I was able to pull from Shields and get like 100 at a time. But then they start locking it down with restrictions and minimums. And I said, all right, this is exhausting.
Yeah, that's the beauty of wholesale. You're doing business with people who actually want your money, so you don't have those issues like shut down, account banned, all that stuff.
Yeah, they do. You sometimes have to force feed them the money, but they do want it. Some of these vendors really don't like working with Amazon guys, and it makes sense because we are the biggest app violators, in the space. We love cranking the price down to, break even. That's just kind of the competitive nature of Amazon.
Yeah. So besides, kind of Amazon sellers having that bad stigma around them, would you say there's any other cons to the wholesale business model? Kind of like how OA has the cancellations and banning issue. Would you say there's anything like that in wholesale?
I think the cons to wholesale, it's a lot harder to get your foot in the door with a lot of these brands and distributors. Anyone can just hop on the computer and start ordering from Kohl's or Dick's Sporting Goods. It's a lot more difficult to get in contact with the distributor. I had one distributor that basically told me, if the brand asks, you didn't get it from me. So, and he's like, if Amazon asks, give them the invoice. And I've sent Amazon the invoice in the past, and it's a good invoice. But if the brand asks for it, it wasn't us. Because there's this big stigma of, we're destroying pricing on Amazon. We're ruining that brand reputation. We're offering products at lower than the minimum advertised price. And the brands hate it. But the brands do decide to sell it to the distributors because they want that distributor money. So it's this weird kind of pickle they get stuck in. We had a brand I contacted, and they said, oh, no Amazon guys. No Amazon guys. And I just called up a distributor, and I bought them from a distributor. I was making $15 a clip, and they were selling. And I get a phone call one day of this guy screaming at me, and it's the guy from the brand saying, get off the listing. We're going to send counterfeits. We're going to get you taken down. We're going to shut down your Amazon account. So I said, all right, whatever. My distributor's legit. Kept on selling. He hits me with the counterfeit complaint. The listing gets closed. I submit Amazon the invoice, and Amazon's like, invoice looks good, keep on selling it. And this guy was losing it. He calls me again, get off the listing, this and that. He files another counterfeit complaint, a second one. And we sent Amazon the same invoice and said, hey, referencing case ID, blah, 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 you guys just approved this invoice. The brand is, manipulating brand registry and trying to control distribution. And we didn't hear from him again. And we kept on selling. It was his decision to sell to the distributor because he wanted to sell a pallet of the product that, maybe he made 15 grand off of. Yeah. But when it goes to us buying it and putting it on Amazon, that's when he starts flipping out. So it's a weird thing. If brands were really smart, they would just sell on Amazon themselves. But they want to get as much money as possible from the distributor, from the brand, because these distributors will sell you, but just kind of say, like my last distributor, hey, if you didn't get it from us, if they ask. It's this weird kind of game. Yeah. And it's kind of always tiptoeing. We're always kind of tiptoeing around things.
Yeah, that's weird. I guess from the brand's perspective, it's just a lot easier to offload a large amount, even if it's at a lower margin, rather than going through all the Amazon stuff themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And they want big, they're able to move a lot more units, blasting this out to all these distributors than slowly selling it piece by piece on Amazon.
Yep.
So, it makes sense on at their stand, but they have to understand there's repercussions to doing that.
Mm-hmm. Are you mostly brand direct or distributors?
So I work with, I would say we're like a 50-50 split.
Okay.
I like to work with brands because we get a better pricing. A lot of the times I'll start working with the distributor and then call the brand and say, hey, we're working with so-and-so. I think it makes a lot more sense to just work direct. That line has actually helped us land a handful of accounts because they're like, all right, this person's knowledgeable in the space. They know what's going on. They're currently buying these products. Let's just work with them directly. And we were able to get a couple solid accounts that way just by kind of name dropping the distributor we're currently working with.
So you were leveraging your distributor to build another relationship with the brand direct.
Yeah.
That's why I've never thought about it that way. That's crazy.
Yeah. Because when you call these brands, they want to know that you're in the space and that you're knowledgeable and that you're buying. When you're mentioning that you're buying from so-and-so distributor, they're like, oh, we know them. We sell them all the time. Yeah. Let's do something direct. And, I explained to them, oh, you guys are closer to us. It would help with shipping, and we can put large regular orders with you on a monthly basis. And that has helped us land a couple accounts. There's so many people that call a brand and say, oh yeah, we're an Amazon seller and we want to sell your product and we have $250. Like, that just is going to immediately have every brand saying no e-commerce stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, we're working with so-and-so distributor. I think it makes sense for us to work together. That's kind of the leverage that helps you get those accounts.
So you've been widely successful in the wholesale game. And so the question that I have is, do you think that where you are logistically has played a big factor in it? Because I think you're from New Jersey or New York, and that's for the most part.
I'm in New Jersey.
So that's like a huge distribution hub of distributors everywhere. It's like
the rent's high, but the products are here.
If someone is looking to get started in wholesale, where do they go? How do they start?
There's all different ways to find vendors. The obvious method is kind of looking through Google and seeing who's around. We do a lot of storefront stalking. Our business has been built off of kind of looking to see, all right, what are these other sellers selling and how can I get a piece of that? It's definitely early in my game. I was doing a lot of that. And, I was calling 30 to 40 brands and distributors a day and just kind of hauling it out. And some days all of them would say no. And I just kept on doing that day after day. And eventually you get those yeses. And those are types of brands that you have for, decades. Some of these relationships I have will, continue to go on.
So every yes is a really big yes there then.
Oh yeah. It's like a pop a bottle of champagne. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's,
Gotcha.
They don't come often. So,
okay.
When you're able to kind of finagle your way into that account, it's a huge win. I was just talking to a friend of mine who said they were trying to get an account that I had, and they said there was no e-commerce guys, and he drafted like $100,000 purchase order, and next thing you know, he's an e-com guy. So
money talks.
Money talks. It 100% does. If you could say, hey, I can send you a wire tomorrow for $100,000 and this, and this, they'll say, all right, come on in. Come to the club. So helps.
Sure.
I know some guys that hold stock for a year just so they can put that giant order in to get in with that brand. They're trying to get in with that company. So they're like, all right, screw it. I will buy a year's worth of product and slowly send it in because I want this account.
What kind of payment terms do you typically see with your accounts?
Usually I have like maybe one or two. It's a net 30, but mainly they're credit card or a lot of my vendors take credit card. Even if it's 3% on top, I say go for it because I get 2% back. So I'd rather have that 30 days. But usually all credit card stuff we do.
Did you get the net 30 right off the bat with those couple distributors? Or
no, I had to ask after I've been buying for them for a few months. You can't just call them and say, hey, I need net 30. I need, all these things. And they're not going to kind of jump over that. They like to see if you have money ready to go. And when you do, you can eventually ask for them to say, hey, can you give us
money talks?
Yeah, no, but what's the best way to show them that you have money? Just tell them, or what are you doing?
There was this one brand I was pursuing, and I reached out 5 times on an email. They finally got back to me, and I basically sent an email, hey, we're ready to put it today. We're looking to spend 30 to 50 grand on this order.
Gotcha.
Can we get the ball rolling?
Gotcha.
And the account was opened, and I placed the order, and it was done.
So you
So-
hadn't said like the 30 to 50K on the previous emails until that last
yeah.
one. Gotcha.
I was kind of trying to get their attention, like,
Yeah.
we've been doing this for a while. Let's get the ball rolling.
Gotcha.
Those-
So one question I had was, you kind of had a unique starting point and how you got into the Amazon space. Do you think that
Yeah.
other people could like follow suit in that, or was it the job you had and that loan that kind of gave you a unique window into creating what you've created?
the job was a huge factor.
Okay.
Being able to learn the system, see how everything works, understand what sales reps are looking for. Now I call a sales rep and I know what they're looking for. I know what they want to hear. There would be a lot of scenarios where we would get a call, and we would get hundreds of leads a day, but nobody would ever follow up on those leads unless you called them, unless someone called in and say, hey, I put an application, this and that. And then we were like, oh, all right, let's dig up the big basket of applications. And there was, thousands of people would, people would have their VAs do applications all day long. So until you actually called them, you weren't even getting your application reviewed, which was interesting. So then now I started taking that, and every new brand I call, I email them and then follow up with a call. And sometimes I call them 5 times. I learned a lot from being on the other end. Another scenario was, sometimes we had a customer as a sales rep interested in this one item where we weren't making a lot of profit, but we were making profit on the other item he was taking. So we'd be able to go to my boss and say, hey, I have a potential order. We're not making this much on this item, but we're making more margin on this item. Do you want to push it through? And then it kind of clicked when I call these distributors and saying, hey, I need to get to, instead of 8, can you get me at 7 on this? And I'll take that other item at 12. And they'll push that through because they're making enough margin on the combined order, which was interesting, which kind of helped me when I talk with distributors. So it was a huge factor in learning a lot, understanding the business, understanding kind of the rep end of it. Because as an Amazon seller, you're always trying to figure out what the rep wants, what the rep needs to push your orders through, or even get in contact with them. So that was a big learning factor for us. And honestly, it was a huge help. So I think a big thing is just kind of networking with other sellers. I know when you kind of talk to your family about you sell on Amazon, they're, even like my grandparents are like, what are you delivering packages? Like, what are you doing? I thought that, they think they're buying from Amazon. They have no idea there's a bunch of third-party sellers. So to kind of be able to be in the space with other people that know what you're going through on a daily basis, understand Keepa, and, we can collaborate with different strategies and stuff like that. That's what I really like the most about it. Tonight at 7 p.m. we're doing a networking event at the coffee shop in town. So there's about 30 people that are coming.
What time is it?
It's at 7.
Do I have time to catch a flight?
Yeah,
Probably
will I?
not.
Let's find out.
So
50 minutes? All right.
it's fun because, whenever you go to these events, you kind of meet someone that might maybe split a purchase order with you or figure out ways you can kind of help each other or build off each other. And honestly, it's even just good to just talk about business with people that understand your language. I go to talk to like my mother about it or, my father, and they're like, man, we don't really understand this. So it's nice to talk with people that know what's going on, what Rev Seller is and stuff like this. It just feels kind of like homey when you know people that are in the same game. That's what I really love about it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ran into another Amazon seller out in the wild doing retail arbitrage. It was just like super refreshing because I could actually have a conversation with a human being in person about a Keepa chart.
I know. And it's fun talking with other people about like data and Amazon and just products and how they're operating. And because every person you meet is at a different stage. Some people are, doing, $5,000 a month, some are doing $100,000 a month, and then some guys are doing $1 million plus a month. So just talking with everyone like that is just it's exciting, because then you see, oh wow, I can get there if I really keep the work in, keep the grind in, and it's helpful. I also like kind of inspiring people to show that it is possible. It's possible to kind of get to that 3-4 million mark, and keeps people encouraged. There's been a lot of times where I thought about just tossing in the towel and just saying, all right, let me just toss in the towel and just I'm done with this. And you just start thinking about it, and then I just kind of think of like, what would your future self think if you tossed in the towel right now? And you didn't go for it.
What would Goggins say?
Yeah, exactly. What would Goggins say? So like, that sometimes hits me, because like, sometimes we've been in situations like, I can't find any profitable products. This is not working out. Pricing's tanking. I'm not making any money. And you just want to toss in the towel. But then the next week is better. You find some different connection, and, things end up working out. Usually, a good thing happens right after you're at your lowest. Something pops up right before you're going to toss in that towel. If you can get over that hump. And we've definitely seen it. There's been plenty of times where I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm just going to get a job. And then, I kind of snap myself out of it and saying, this is what we're doing, whether you like it or not. So it's fun. With business, everything's up and down. We have months where we get suspended, where we have zero revenue, and there's months where we're doing really well. So, you can't get discouraged of, all right, this month I did horrible. You kind of have to look at it through the year. Same with the product. You look at that, with a wide view, see what really is going on. Yeah.
Something you said reminded me of a Batman movie quote. It's always darkest before the dawn. And sometimes that's, as humans, that's kind of how it feels like when we're going through it. We're emotional people, so we're going through it. And then next thing you know, you take one more step, and then you finally see the crack of the light. And I think just gotta keep going.
It's 100% true. I know a lot of people that I'm kind of working with a little bit, and we're sourcing, and they're like, this is exhausting, everyone's telling me no. I'm like, this is the game we're in. We're in the game of getting rejected 95% of the time, but that 5% are going to be those profitable items that are going to you're going to work with for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
That 5% is going to make you $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. So, a lot of people don't want to put in the work, don't want to call 30 or 40 companies a day. It was easy for me, honestly. Like my first job at 16, I was doing donations at a call center, and we were on an auto dialer. So as soon as someone said F you and hung up, you were on the line with someone else, going on your speech about to donate to the Illinois Fire Department, and we really need your donation. And then when I'm calling people saying, hey, I've got money for you, it's a whole different scenario. It's, I think that helped a lot too. Just constantly getting exposed to the phone, really on those donation calls, we would, my boss would tell us to talk differently depending on the area we're calling. If you're calling New York, we're talking a little quicker, but if we're talking to someone maybe in Louisiana, we're slowing it down a little bit. All these things kind of play into factor.
Yeah, you have to match your client.
And I learned a lot from that cold calling job, especially because there would be 6-hour shifts, and I can't imagine how many calls we were making in 6-hour shifts. I would say, a call would last about a minute on average, maybe 30 seconds. And as soon as you were done with that call, you were hooked to the next person. So it was hundreds of people I would contact in a day. It got me comfortable on the phone, and, I learned a lot from it. And that kind of just builds off of everything. That built off of this distribution company, and then to now, selling on Amazon, being a business owner.
Well, Alex, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining us. To the viewers, thanks for listening. Go check out FBA Boys on Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Awesome.